Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. This is the match preview ahead of the Newcastle versus Aston Villa game tomorrow at St James's Park, 3 PM kickoff. I will be at the game tomorrow. I will have the usual pre-match chat, match day vlog, instant reaction. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to scroll down and hit that big red button. It really helps the channel and it means you guys will be notified when I post all of my videos tomorrow, and hopefully I will be smiling in these videos. I think it will be a tough game. Villa have had a bit of a bounce since Steven Gerrard got sacked. Unai Emery's come in. He won't actually be on the sidelines for this game, but I'll talk a little bit about Villa. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the news in the world of Newcastle right now, about contracts with Bruno and Almiron both being linked to new deals. We'll talk about Villa. We'll talk about what we hope to see from Newcastle. We've got some great injury news, injury updates that we'll come on to as well. I'll do the lineups and then I'll give my prediction at the end as well. So be sure to let me know your predictions down below for the game tomorrow. So we'll start off with some of the contract news that's coming out at the moment. It started off with links that Bruno Guimaraes is set to receive a new deal from Newcastle United, swiftly followed by more news that Almiron is also being linked with a new deal. I can't say that I'm surprised, to be honest. Both players have been fantastic. Bruno, we know how good Bruno is. Without a doubt, our best player. I think already the highest paid player at the club on around 120 grand. Now, Bruno was actually interviewed and asked about this in, not so directly, but he kind of said, I'm concentrating on my football. I'm looking forward to the World Cup. I've already got ages on my contract, so it's not something that he's really thinking about. That's probably what he's going to say, really. Really, it's his agent who will be dealing with this right now. And look, if we do go out and give Bruno the rumoured 200,000 a week, I'm not surprised, to be honest. He is that good. And we have been very strict with our wages for quite some time. Obviously, pre-takeover, we were extremely strict. We let it off a little bit with some of the players we're bringing in, but we've tried to be very sensible. And I've seen, the headlines, in the newspapers and whatever are Newcastle set to smash their wage budget on Bruno. I don't think we're smashing it. I think we are going to be letting the shackles off. I think we're going to restructure it. If we want to try and bring in more big names, big players, it's going to cost us more wages. And for me, the best way to do it would actually be to give a higher contract to our best player. That's a better way to do it than bring a new player in and put him at the top of the tree, because everyone in the club's going, he's only just got here and he's getting paid more than I am. At least Bruno's come in, proved himself, and we're rewarding him. Part of me wonders whether this is definitely happening right now, or this is a conversation that's kind of got started, because, as I say, Bruno's got ages left on his deal. Do we need to give him a new deal right this second? We don't have to sell him. If someone comes in January, we'll just say no. Even if they offered him 300 grand a week, we'll just go, well, he's not for sale. And I don't think Bruno wants to leave either. So it's something that's in the news, and Almiron is also being linked as well, because he's had such great form. But Eddie Howe was actually asked about it this morning at his press conference, which he said, well, that's news to me. He's not even aware of the fact that however, it is Eddie Howe, and that's probably what he's going to say, isn't it? He's not going to go, oh yeah, we're in talks right now. Eddie Howe played it down, but again, we are rewarding players for playing well, and we're also making sure that we keep them stuck to our club as well. So that's great news. And then, as I say, Eddie Howe was speaking this morning about the Villa game, which I cannot wait for. Cannot wait to get back to St James's Park. So much football right now. It's been brilliant, especially when Newcastle have been playing the way we have. But we'll start off with Villa. Obviously did not have a great start to the season. Brought Steven Gerrard in as manager, and it didn't work. He couldn't get it going. He had, certain ways of playing football. He didn't really like the two strikers up front. It was either Ings or Watkins. In fairness, for me, I don't think Coutinho really performed the way that Gerrard really hoped he would. But yeah, it didn't go their way, so what did they do? They sacked him and they brought in Unai Emery. Funnily enough, a manager that Newcastle were linked with before we got Eddie Howe. Time flies by so quick, because I would not change Eddie Howe for the world now. But you know, one time I was looking forward to trying to get Emery in as a manager, because he's a good manager. I think Villa have done well to bring him in. He's certainly proven him what he can do, and you know, I think it's a good appointment. But he won't actually be on the sideline tomorrow because of a work permit. He's not able to get to the game. Having said that, Villa went out in their last game since Gerrard got sacked and won 4-0 against Brentford. That was... could they not have just kept Gerrard for a little bit longer? Could they not have just kept Gerrard for just a couple of more games? It's what happens. You get the new manager bounce, or even just the no manager bounce. They had the interim manager in, and it was, for me, the players' way of saying it was Gerrard's fault. We're great over here. You know, it always happens when a manager goes, and they went for it in that game. They played the two strikers up front that Gerrard never did. They went with, Buendia, who I think is a good player. Going into this game for Newcastle, you could say, in fairness, they beat Brentford 4-0. We beat them 5-1. So as much as it was a big win for Villa, it was a big bounce back for Villa winning that game. Brentford are a team that can let in a lot of goals, but that will put them in a good mood coming up to St James's Park. There's a bit of a rivalry between Newcastle and Aston Villa. I don't really know why. I mean, it goes back to the sob on the tying, and I still have no idea why any home team would really do that, to be honest. And they just don't seem to like us very much. I don't know why they want to make it a rivalry, but we'll leave them to it. In terms of us going to the ground tomorrow, I want to see more of the same. Eddie Howe was questioned this morning on the fact that we went from, statistically, dead bottom on turnovers. Turning the ball over in the final third, pressing. We went from bottom, I believe we are now top of that list, and it just shows how hard we are working to win the ball back, and again, I think we're just as high on turnover to shot created, which is massive. It really is. The pressure we're putting on these teams, and I think we'll do it again tomorrow. I think we've got two key things that are really working for us at the moment. The first one is we're so fit, we are so pressuring. We went and beat Spurs down on their own turf. That was a tough game to go down and get something from. And we didn't only get something, we got all 3 points, scored 2 goals. Everton in the midweek, Everton are quite, good defensively. But we totally pressed on them. We got the goal. So that's number one, our pressing, our pressure. Number two, our defensive solidity. We're just not letting anyone through at the moment. We are doing such a good job. Best defensive record in the league. Long may it continue. And I think Villa have got a few things to worry us with. As I say, I do like Watkins. I actually do quite like, some of their... They can turn over the ball quick. They have got quick players. They can get at us fast. But so do Man United, and when we didn't let them score. So do Spurs, and they only scored one from a corner. So although they have threats, I am confident that our defence can snuff them out. And as we look into the lineups for this game, Eddie Howe gave us some very good news regarding the, I was going to say the injured players, possibly not injured anymore. It's understood that Maxi could well be back in time for the game tomorrow, which is very, very good news. Murphy's come in, done great. We played Joe Linton out there in the Spurs game on that left-hand side. He did really well as well. Him and Willock were almost taking it in turns to press and sit and press and sit. And that was one really good way of keeping the press up without totally knackering yourself. But for me, if Maxi's fit, he plays. It's as simple as that. And there's a little bit of news on Isak. It's understood that he's actually been having some injections recently to try and keep him going through his fitness process. I think there'll still be a little bit of time on him. But Eddie Howe said there is certainly a chance to see Maxi in this game. and I'm hoping that's the case. Well, what I actually hope is that we don't need him. But is there a better man to bring off the bench if we do? So in terms of my lineups, Pope and goal, the back four, Trippier, Shaw, Botman, Dan Burn. The amount of time I've sat here and talked about, oh well, Anthony's got quite a lot of pace, so should we put Target in? Could do it again today. Well, you know, Buendia or whoever's got quite a lot of pace. Would Target be better than Burn? I'm not even going to start it because we play Burn every week. He hasn't always, I was going to say he hasn't always had the best of games, but just that back five, it's working. You don't change a winning team. They've had a week off since the last game. I think you'll stick with that. Going into the midfield, Bruno is obviously number one. And then there's a bit of a toss-up on who it could be in there. Could it be Longstaff and Willock and Joe Linton? Could he go Longstaff, Willock, Joe Linton out on the left and do what I mentioned earlier with that kind of rotating between the two? I don't know. Well, what Eddie Howe does, I'll never know because he changes it every time. I would be tempted to go because I'm hoping we are going to be on the front foot in this game. That we are going to have the ball. I think in the Spurs game we were a little unsure how it was going to go, and that's why having kind of Joe Linton and Willock there made it a bit. We could almost revert into like a middle five rather than it being a 4-3-3 like we normally do. It was almost made so that if we had to defend, Joe Linton could drop, and we've got that more of a solid line of midfielders. I think in this one, I will be tempted to go Longstaff. Oh, I was going to say Longstaff and Joe Linton. Longstaff and Willock. I think I would actually put if Maxi's not fit, I would actually bring Murphy back in. I just think we want to really be on them. I know Murphy's technical ability isn't always the best, but he will run the hell out of them down that wing. He will press and he will push. And then with Almiron on the other side and Wilson in the middle. So it's the midfield three as always, which is creating the conversation. I like Longstaff because it means that Bruno has the license to go further forwards. But then I don't want to leave Joe Linton out because he's that good. But I would potentially rather have Willock because I want him to attack. I'm going to go Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton. I mean, it's great, isn't it? The fact that I can sit here and have this conversation on who I'd rather, not, oh my God, who am I going to have to play, is a nice place. To think that I'm actually putting Murphy in as a first choice as well is something. I don't know if I would have thought that a year ago. But there you go, that is my lineup. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. It's really the left-hand side, isn't it, really? Would quite happily see Joe Linton sit out there again. Who knows, maybe we're going to let him have a bit of free-range attack down the left. Because he came on and scored a few weeks ago, and then, as I say, played it in the Spurs game and did a good job. So let me know your thoughts on your lineup. And for my prediction, I've heard a few different predictions on this one because I've heard some people saying that they're a little bit apprehensive of how this game's going to go. My prediction was 1-0 Newcastle, in the thought that it could be similar to maybe the Everton game where we were the better team, we had a lot of the ball, but it's still just putting it in the back of the net. Which is why I've gone 1-0. But I've also heard other people say that they feel like despite that, Villa have had a bit of a bounce, we are just that much better and we could get a few. And I've heard some other people talking and saying that they feel like it could be like a Bournemouth, where you go in there thinking that we're going to roll them over, we're going to score all the goals, and then all of a sudden it works out to be a little tougher than you think. So I'm somewhere in the middle. That's why I've gone for a 1-0. I backed the win last week. I backed the draw, the win before that. I've got 3 results right in a row for Newcastle, so I'm hoping I'm going to get this one as well. Who am I going to give the goal to? I'm still backing Botman for a goal. Let's just go Botman. Botman 1-0 from a Trippier corner. And that's the win to Newcastle. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. As I say, if you have watched all the way till the end and haven't hit subscribe yet, be sure to do so. Loads of content this weekend. And fingers crossed, as I say, I'll be smiling in all of it. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Fingers crossed, it's a 3 points for the tune. And I'll catch you later.